Hello and welcome. This is another sixth grade math video where we're going to be focusing on how to divide whole numbers and fractions. Here is our first example. We're going to take the fraction 1/9 and we're going to divide it by 4. So this method that we're going to use is something called keep, change, flip, which kind of tells us what we're going to do. But the idea of it is that instead of dividing, we're going to be multiplying by the reciprocal. So you may have heard this phrase before, reciprocal. A reciprocal is where we take a fraction and we flip it around. So if we have the fraction 1/2, the reciprocal of that would be 2/1. So we literally just flip the numerator and the denominator. So it's the opposite of 1/2 is 2/1 or the reciprocal. So that's kind of a big word to use. So what we do is we kind of shorten the method to what we call keep, change, flip. Now you might have heard this phrased in a different way, and that's totally understandable. So let's see what keep is. Keep is keeping that first fraction the same. So we're going to keep that as 1/9. The change is changing from division to multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead and put that multiplication dot right there. And then we need to flip the second number. So you may have noticed 4 is not exactly a fraction, but we could make it a fraction if we put it over 1. And now we could flip it. So it is 1/4. Then what we would do is multiply the numerator. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 9 times 4 is 36. So our answer here would be 1/36. That means if you had 1/9 of something and you needed to divide that 1/9 into 4 pieces, each piece would be 1/36 of the original or one whole. A way to demonstrate this visually would be to imagine that you had some kind of bar here, right? And it was divided into 9 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines would draw it into 9 pieces. You had one of those ninths, and you needed to take that 1/9 and divide it into 4 pieces. So what that means is you end up having 1/36 as the piece that is what you would get when you would take that 1/9 and divide it into 4 pieces. The 1/36 represents that you would have 1/36 of the whole thing. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 1/2 and divide it by 4. And again, I could draw a visual bar to show how this looks, but we don't want to have to draw a visual every time, especially as the numbers get bigger. So I'm going to show you using keep, change, flip again. So I'm going to keep this first fraction the same. That's 1/2. I'm going to change from division to multiplication, and I'm going to have to flip the second number around. Well, right now, 4 is a whole number, but I can make it a fraction if I put it over 1. Then if I flip it, it becomes 1/4. Then I would multiply the numerator. So 1 times 1 is 1, and then 2 times 4 is 8. So that means if I have half of something and I need to take that half and divide it into 4 pieces, each of those pieces would be 1/8 of the original amount. Here's our next one. We're going to take 1/3 and divide it by 3. And again, we're going to use keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep the 1/3 the same. I'm going to change from division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip 3 around. But first I need to make it a fraction. So to make the whole number 3 into a fraction, I would put it over 1. And then now I could flip it around so that it becomes 1/3. Then I would just need to multiply the numerators. 1 times 1 is 1, and multiply the denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9. So that means the answer to this is 1/9. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 1/8 and divide it by 3. So again, we're going to use keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep the 1/8 the same. I'm going to change from dividing to multiplication. And then I'm going to flip the 3 around, but first I need to make it a fraction. To make 3 a fraction, I would put it over 1 before I flip it around. So that becomes 1/3. 1 times 1 is 1, and 8 times 3 is 24. So the final answer here would be 1/24. Here's our next one and our last one for today's video. What I did for this one is I switched it around so you could see what it's like to take the whole number and divide it by a fraction. We are still going to use keep, change, flip. So for this one, I'm going to keep 4 the same, but I still do have to make it a fraction. So I'm going to make 4 a fraction by putting it over 1. Then I'm going to change from division to multiplication. And then the 1/9 is what gets flipped around. So instead of 1 over 9, it's going to be 9 over 1. Then I would multiply the numerator. So 4 times 9 is 36. Multiply the denominator. So 1 times 1 is 1. And any number over 1 is just that number as a whole number. So our answer here would be 36. What that means is if you have 4 whole numbers or 4 wholes, and you divide them into pieces that are 1/9 of each of those, who are 1/9 pieces of each of those whole numbers, you would end up with 36 pieces. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in the next video soon.